Hey y'all, this is Jillian from Maxie Makes Magic. Welcome back to my channel. We are back for another Disney dining menu ranking challenge, and we're doing something a little bit different this week. We're headed over to Disney Springs for the first time on the channel. Returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're new here, I do Disney dining menu ranking challenges, which essentially looks at Disney restaurants from all across the Walt Disney World Resort to determine whether or not they are a good fit for you and your travel party. Over on my Instagram threads and my YouTube account, you guys voted because you really wanted to learn more about Polite Pig and Disney Springs, which is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular, barbecue locations all across the Walt Disney World Resort property. Now, because we're in Disney Springs this week instead of being in the parks, our 5 key criteria for this ranking challenge is gonna change just ever so slightly. Instead of location in the park, we're gonna look at location in Disney Springs, location theming, food variety, cost, and of course my favorite, food theming. As always, I have my trusty iPad here and ready to go. And I think before we start jumping in to the key criteria today, it's really important that we talk about Disney Springs and kind of break down, get the lay of the land for Disney Springs. It has changed a lot over the years. You might have also heard it referenced to as Downtown Disney. That's the former name for the shopping district. There's also a Downtown Disney shopping district in Disneyland. So keep in mind, this is Disney Springs. This is at the Orlando Walt Disney World Resort. We can start there. There are 4 main areas within Disney Springs. The first is the marketplace. Now this is like the original of the original parts of Disney Springs. It was originally the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village back in 1975, so it's been around for some time, but it's been rebranded over the years. So now it's become Disney Springs, and that's as of 2015. I grew up in the Downtown Disney era, and obviously now we are in the Disney Springs era, if you will. This is kind of the original shops you're gonna see. The Wide World of Disney store is here, Goofy's Candy Company. There's the Waterside Concerts. That is your marketplace area. It is the OG part of Disney Springs. Then you have the Landing, which was also a part of the Downtown Disney Shopping District. It was formerly known as Pleasure Island. This was big in the 90s underneath of the leadership of Michael Eisner. So at the time, it was more like nightlife for 21 and up. If you scour YouTube, you will find tons of good videos about the history of Pleasure Island. The Adventurers Club is one of the cool parts of that I think we all missed just a little bit. I never got to experience it, but just by watching videos on it, super cool. But I digress. The new part of this area is a bustling marina. There are amphicars, so those cars that you see that can actually drive in the water, they go from driving on land to being a boat on the water. It's really cool. That's an offering in this area. There's a ton of seafood restaurants, and it's very nautical themed. There's also the West Side. This was also a part of Downtown Disney. It's where most of your entertainment is. Disney Quest used to be in this area, if you remember, but there still is Drawn to Life that's performed by Cirque du Soleil, Splitsville, a bowling alley, AMC theaters, and live music at the House of Blues. And now the area that we're talking about today is the new part of Disney Springs. That is the town center. It is very Spanish Revival themed. It's beautiful. There's boutiques and familiar retailers like Anthropologie, Zara, Uniqlo's, and more popular ones since the opening of Disney Springs. And that is where Polite Pig is actually located. And we can talk, of course, a lot more about that today, but just to give you an idea of how Disney Springs kind of came to be, its origins, and where we find ourselves located in Disney Springs today, because it is kind of like a 5th park. It's shopping, entertainment, food. It is the 5th unofficial Disney park in my heart of hearts. But let's get right into our Disney dining menu ranking challenge, and we can talk about location in Disney Springs. So location in Disney Springs, is it well trafficked? Is it easily accessible? Is it open year round? This is in one of the most trafficked areas of all of Disney Springs, because of the Lime Garage. There are, I believe, 3 different garages. There's the Lime Garage, which is where Polite Pig is right near. There's the Orange Garage, which is down farther by like Planet Hollywood, AMC Theaters. And then you also have the Grapefruit Garage, which is actually across the road, and you have to take like a walkway to get over to access Disney Springs. This is the most popular garage, the most popular area in Disney Springs when you first enter. The only con though in this case is the fact that because this is such a popular location and you're probably excited to get into Disney Springs, you might immediately pass Polite Pig. Like if you weren't thinking of going there before you got here, you might pass it from the get-go and overlook it. That's the only con in this case, but truly, this is in a prime real estate location, and usually because of that, it's busy, which is great for business. So this is a definite pass for location in Disney Springs. Moving on to location theming, and now here's the thing with location theming in any Disney Springs restaurant. We're gonna struggle with this one just a little bit because there's not a lot of restaurants here that are authentically Disney. They are owned by a lot of outside companies, but they do have theming. There are some that are more themed that we'll cover on the channel in time, but unfortunately, this is not one of those locations when it comes to location theming, which when we're talking about location theming, we're looking at, is it a standout location outside of food? Does it have a good atmosphere? Is it picture backdrop worthy? It's a fast casual barbecue joint that's got pretty modern theming. There's really nothing about it that would be different than something you might see in your hometown. I live in the Midwest. We have a pretty good amount of barbecue locations, and the theming here is not very different from the theming I see at a lot of the restaurants in my hometown. The atmosphere is good, don't get me wrong. It's open air in the sense that they've got garage doors that open up. You can sit inside or outside. And I think one of the saving graces for this location is their bourbon bar. They have a bourbon bar with over 60 plus selections. We actually sat there when we went back in October for our trip. And by we, I mean my husband and I, when we went back in October. But the bourbon bar was really, really nice because you can get flights and whatnot. And that is something unique to this location, which does, I think, help with like the overall location theming and the vibe, that barbecue vibe, bourbon, southern flavors, so on and so forth. I just don't think overall the location is standout when it comes to theming. It's not something you're going to take your kids to or your family and friends that haven't been to Disney often, and they're going to be like, wow, like this is such a cool restaurant. That's not going to be the vibe here. So because of that, for location theming, this is unfortunately a fail for Polite Pig. Moving on to food variety, I struggled with this one a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. There are sweet and savory options, there's plant-based and vegetarian, and there are snacks and entrees. So right off the top, I'm gonna say because of that, this is a pass. But I do have some very big caveats that come along with that. I try to stay as true to the ranking challenge as possible, but sometimes I want to stray because in its heart of hearts, this is a barbecue joint. And again, I'm not vegetarian, vegan, any special dietary restrictions. I wouldn't inherently see someone with dietary restrictions going out of their way to go here. Just saying. However, it's highly specialized in barbecue food. This menu is freaking awesome. Their food is so good. Like, this is my favorite restaurant in all of Disney Springs, hands down. It is that good. The options and the level of quality for a quick service location here is insane. This is a walk up. Keep that in mind. You are literally walking up to get your food, you go sit at your table, and then you get a server from there, which is a little different than your typical quick service. But just keep in mind, this is a fast, casual, quick service dining location. For it to have that good of food is crazy. So let's go ahead and talk about the menu just a little bit more. So again, Polite Pig is one of your traditional barbecue locations. They have shareable items. I'm not going to focus too much on those or the salads because I've never had them before, but For our vegetarian folks, our vegan folks, there are salad options available. From the smoker is going to be your proteins, your meat. So your chicken, your pulled pork, your pork shoulder, brats, ribs, salmon, brisket, so on and so forth. I've had the brisket there and it is very tender, delicious. I absolutely loved it. I have had Texas barbecue. So is this the best barbecue I've ever had? No, absolutely not. But is it amazing barbecue at Disney standards? For Disney standards, yes. Like, it is great. Like, if you're looking for good barbecue on property, this is where you're gonna be going. You also have your sandwiches. What I love here though is the market sides. Oh, you guys, they're so good. So the grilled street corn in particular is my family's favorite. It is super delicious, very spicy, or I should say slightly spicy. I am spice averse. I'm not a spice girl. Realize what I just said. I'm definitely not a spice girl. Okay, I am not big on spicy food. This to me is a little too spicy, but if you're not sensitive to spice, this is so good. My husband didn't think it was spicy at all. My family loves it. The mac and cheese here is so good. One of the better mac and cheese options on property. The sweet potato tots are good too. We had those on our trip. And then there's another potato option. I think it might have been a seasonal side. There was another potato option on the menu. They were like roasted potatoes. Those were super yummy too. So they do have really good market sides, but this is where I get a little bit hung up when it comes to like vegan, vegetarian options. There are no like truly plant-based like meat alternatives on this menu, which I don't really expect from a barbecue location if I'm being completely honest with you. However, the market side options are good. There are several on here that are vegetarian. So your barbecue cauliflower, street corn, mac and cheese, roasted beets, Brussels sprouts, sweet potato tots, and potato salad. For vegans though, there really are only 4 options: your sweet potato tots, Brussels sprouts, barbecue cauliflower, and your grilled corn, which there is an aioli on the grilled corn. So I would probably recommend checking on that because mayo has eggs and that's an animal byproduct. So you'd want to check into it. But that's where I struggled with ranking this as a pass because I just don't feel like there truly are a lot of options for vegan folks here. But when we were there, we did have a woman sitting next to us at the bar that had a very long list of dietary restrictions. And the chef came out several times, like probably 3 or 4 times, to walk her through different options, go ask questions, come back, check the books. Every restaurant, as I always say, has a book of the breakdown of the ingredients in each menu item, so you don't have to worry about what is being put in your food. Disney is huge about this, which is awesome. So if you do have a dietary restriction, if you want to be sure you're not eating something that's against your diet, make sure you ask. The cast members are always happy to help. So there are also desserts here: bourbon chocolate chip cookies, key lime pie, red velvet cake, sweet potato spice cake. Nothing inherently exciting, if I'm being honest. Pascal is joining us again today, if you see my hand moving over here. And then there also are kids meals. So there are smaller kids options to keep in mind as well. So I will give this a pass because there is food variety. There are options that vegan, vegetarian folks could piece together between the salads and the market sides, but I struggle because I don't feel like it's enough. But based on the criteria of this challenge, it is a pass. Moving on to cost. This one today rubbed me so wrong, if I'm being honest. I'm so irritated, but again, sticking to the test. 4 quick service locations on the Walt Disney World Resort property. We are looking at a average dollar point of $12 or less. That's what we're looking at when we're looking at these quick service locations. Can most options in the menu average out to $12 or less? $12.70. That is the average of the menu items, not including beverages, adult beverages, not including kids meals. And it is $12.70, which makes this a fail for cost, which irritates me because I'll be honest, we are so close to the range, but that is something for you and your family to decide, you and your travel party. It's $12.70 for a quick service location with some really hearty, good options. And again, some of the best options I think available on property. I'll let you make that decision. I know the decision that I make. I go there and have gone there the last several times I've been to Disney. That's where we've gone. So I would recommend you try it personally, but based on the challenge, it is a fail. Moving on. Now we can finally talk about food theming. And again, this is one that just kind of breaks my heart because this challenge is going to be hard for the Disney Springs restaurants. It truly is. Food theming is going to be difficult. When we look at, is it destination worthy? Are there character inspired snacks? Is it an exclusive, or excuse me, does it have exclusive location treats? As I've said, this is the best barbecue location on property, hands down. If we're looking at, is it destination worthy? Absolutely. This is one of my, if not my favorite restaurants on the entire Walt Disney World Resort property. However, there are no Disney inspired snacks here. And really at any of the locations in Disney Springs that aren't like treat locations like Goofy's Candy Co. So it's not inherently themed food. And you know, this isn't necessarily just like a unique location in the sense of like, is the food unique? Is this the only place you can go for, like, is Polite Pig, this is the only location available that serves this food? It's not. They do have sister restaurants. They have the Ravenous Pig and the Cask and Larder. So Polite Pig is exclusive to Disney Springs, meaning that its namesake is the only location with that namesake by the owners of this restaurant. However, there are 2 other sister locations that serve similar food. So unfortunately, this does fail food theming, which I am just a little bit distraught about. But again, the food here is fantastic. They have that bourbon bar, which does make it stand out. It's a quick service location that has a pretty fair cost for the overall average of the menu items. It does feel familiar to maybe what you're going to experience though at your hometown, which is one of the cons, and there's really not any specific Disney themed items. But I think overall, you can still get a really great meal here for a good price and a nice atmosphere. That being said, Polite Pig does not pass the Disney Dining Menu Ranking Challenge. My heart is breaking. My dad's heart is probably breaking because this is his favorite location on property. But here's what I will say. Any of these locations that fail, any of these locations that pass, you have to pick what works best for you and your travel party. I always say that. There's a reason that I say that, because just because it's a pass or a fail doesn't mean it's a fit for you. You might love barbecue or you might loathe it. And that's how we review this, to give you guys just a little bit of a taste of overall, what does this menu have available? What does this restaurant have available? Will it be a fit for me and my family? It is a fit for my family. I will continue to yell this from the rooftops. It is one of the best locations in Disney. I promise you, you will not have a bad meal here unless it's not for you. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more Disney Dining Menu Ranking Challenge videos, go check out the playlist over on my channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. I also have a Disney Springs food series, a Disney Parks food series, and a Disney Resorts food series that breaks down recipes from all across the Walt Disney World Resort so you can make them in your home kitchen. As always, this is Jillian from Maxine Makes Magic, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye, guys!